Ryan Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL. Happy Tuesday morning to you. It's Brian and Brian. Mary Catherine has the day off.
Nobody to keep us in line today.
Right. Should be back.
We're on our own. We can scratch and spit, and nobody can say a thing about it.
That's right. ABC's Jake Tapper joins us now, senior White House correspondent for ABC News. Jake, we just had Senator Jim DeMint on the show, and he said he doesn't think a deal is going to be reached until after the August 2nd deadline. I know the administration and Tim Geithner believe that a deal can be reached before then. Some leadership in the Republican Party thinks still that a deal can be reached. Who's right here from your reporting? Should the administration be optimistic that they can get something done within the next 2 weeks?
Well, I certainly wouldn't suggest that anybody should be optimistic. So I don't know. Senator DeMint might know a lot more about it than I. I know that when you talk to the major players, whether it's the White House, Boehner's office, McConnell, Reid, or Pelosi, everyone seems to agree that this all needs to be done in place well before August 2nd. I mean, the unofficial deadline, if you back up from August 2nd, is that something needs to be done by around July 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there.
So by Friday or Saturday, a deal needs to be in place, essentially.
Yeah, because once you have a deal, then you need to write it in the legislation. The House has this, they post their deal for a few days before they vote on it. So, I mean, if you just moving backward, it's around the 23rd, 24th, somewhere in there. But I don't know. I certainly can't predict. That's not my job.
No, I'm just curious if from your reporting whether or not. I mean, it seems like you hear people, you hear pundits, even the polls, the American people. It's everyone's. Well, something will be reached. Some kind of deal will be reached. Senator DeMint was the first one that I've heard who said, you know what, probably won't get done until after August 2nd.
I don't know. He may well be right. I mean, it doesn't, when you just look at what's going on, you have the House moving forward, House Republicans moving forward on this cut, cap, and balance legislation that has little chance of ever making it through the Senate, and the White House has said the president would veto it. You have the Senate moving forward on this McConnell-Reid deal where the president would get the power to raise the debt ceiling with Congress repeatedly voting to disapprove of that. The House Republicans say has little chance of making it through the House. It just doesn't seem like anybody is talking to each other, based on their actions. Now, I'm told that these actions are in addition to conversations that are going on behind closed doors to have a deal. But, based on the success so far, I mean, Senator DeMint may well be right.
Well, there was a meeting this weekend, we now know, between Eric Cantor, John Boehner, and the president. That sort of was a secret meeting, and I think we learned about it yesterday. And then when you read the signals from the White House, Jake, where you operate, they seem to be sending the message that some progress is being made. Now, that's a much more optimistic tone than you hear in other quarters. What do you think is the reason for that optimism?
Well, I don't know that I'm hearing progress being made. What I am hearing is that it's not done, but it's not at an impasse where no one is talking to each other. I am not hearing progress is being made.
So you're hearing that the talks continue, but still far apart.
Right. I'm hearing that they're still talking to each other. I mean, remember, there are a couple things going on. One is you don't want to say that doors are closed if they're not closed entirely. Two is it's not just important in terms of negotiations to keep a door open, but it's also important for the market for there to be this hope that some sort of deal will be struck, both for the market and also for the bond ratings agencies that are also hoping that a deal will be struck. So, I mean, there is negotiation, conversation, and then there's also the message that you want to send to Wall Street so as to, not have some sort of panic.
Now, another president said he didn't want a short-term deal. He's really after the grand bargain. But when push comes to shove, will he take just about anything, maybe something like 180 days at least, in order to get a deal made so he can raise the debt ceiling?
They say no. I mean, obviously, I don't know when push comes to shove what the president would do. I asked Carney about that last week.
Yeah.
If you have this warning of, cataclysm if the debt ceiling is not raised, why is a short-term deal, as bad as that? I mean, wouldn't anything be preferable to cataclysm? I think one of the issues here is that a lot of the bond rating agencies are looking to the U.S. government, looking to Congress and the president to see if they're capable of any sort of deal. And it's not just about a short-term fix for them. If you look at the Moody's warning several months ago, they said that they don't believe that the political will exists for any sort of serious effort to reduce the deficit. And that is why, that is one of the reasons why they issued their warning back then a few months ago. So if the U.S. proves itself incapable of that, then that would reaffirm what Moody's is saying. And so maybe that's one of the reasons the president has issued his warning. I mean, I do believe that at the end of the day, these major players, I don't know about the people who vote for the legislation, but these major players would do almost anything to avoid the government completely running out of money.
Mm-hmm. Right. ABC's Jake Tapper, we always appreciate you joining us here on the Morning Majority.
Thanks, Jake.